In 2018, Central Florida's Highway Patrol had responded to more than 28,000 car crashes. Someone was hurt in more than half of those wrecks. Some of those injuries were because someone got out of their car and didn't anticipate that another driver on the very same road would lose control of their vehicle. In this segment with DriveSmartFlorida.org, we are taking a closer look at the higher risks drivers face by not getting out of the road after a crash. We see crashes practically every day wherever we drive. What do you do when you get into a crash?
You know, the first thing you should do is call 911 and report that crash. And then if you can, the next goal should be, if somebody's not injured or the cars are not movable, get those vehicles out of the road to a safe place.
You know, we've heard from attorneys, don't move, take pictures and whatnot. That almost contradicts it. How do you, it's a delicate balance.
It is a delicate balance. We want people to get the information they need, but the law requires you to move your vehicles from the travel lanes if they can do so, and as long as somebody's not seriously injured or unfortunately killed.
But when you're in a construction zone, what do you do?
You know, construction zone's much more tougher. What you're gonna wanna do is if it's a minor crash, there's no injuries, the cars are movable, go down with the other driver in your vehicle to the next exit. Go to a gas station, go to a convenience store, let law enforcement know where you're at, but get off of the interstate in a construction zone because number one, it's going to create congestion and then it puts you at risk to be struck by another vehicle. As a pedestrian on the interstate, you are so vulnerable to be struck by another vehicle and seriously injured, so you need to minimize that.
This is textbook. This is exactly what you want people to do.
You know, in this scenario, we have a 4-car crash on a limited access highway. So we want those cars out of the roadways so cars can continue traveling and they're safe. They're out of the travel lanes. We want them to stay in their cars. Law enforcement's now arrived. Those troopers will get all their information sorted out and then we can get them out of there as quickly as possible.
Construction zones aren't as easy. With just about every road under construction here in Central Florida, troopers give you full permission to pull into the construction zone to get out of the way. Now, if this is in a construction zone and there are some barrels there, are you allowed to go onto the other side of the barrels out of the travel lane, or do you pose a
No, absolutely. I tell you what, you can absolutely go into a construction area to park a crashed vehicle. You just can't travel. You can't use it as a travel lane, but we actually suggest that you do that. And troopers work with these construction companies. When we do have a crash and the barriers are movable, we'll actually have them move the barriers, get those vehicles out of the roadway until those tow trucks can get there so that we can get the travel lanes open. Anything a driver can do to get a travel lane open, as long as the crash is minor, as long as nobody's injured, and as long as the vehicles are movable.
Anik knows the risk. She experiences them every day as a road ranger on the Central Florida Expressways. But the risk she faces are also the same for those she helps on the road after a crash.
It's very dangerous out here. As soon as we step out of our vehicle, we're in harm's way, so we would appreciate it if the public would pay attention to our lights, pay attention to our cones, and please move over to keep everyone safe so that we all get to go home every night.
This is not a traditional office.
This is not a traditional office.
There's a hot zone
There
where
is.
you don't want to stand.
The hot side is the side closest to traffic. So if we're on the right shoulder, the hot side will be here. If we're on the left shoulder, yours will be the hot side. We avoid the hot side at all costs because chances are if they're either hitting the back or they're hitting the side of our cars, taking mirrors off or whatever. So we try to avoid that side. There's situations and circumstances that don't allow you to avoid that side. You know, if someone was pulled over right here with a flat tire on the left side of their car, I don't have a choice. I'm on my hands and knees on the hot side with people buzzing by at 80 miles an hour. But if there's any way at all that I can avoid that, I do that because chances are that's when bad things happen, when we're on the hot side.
You stress the importance of getting all these vehicles out of the road after a crash happens, of course, if it's minor. There's a reason for that because the potential of a second crash happening exponentially goes up.
You know, what we have seen is that if there is a crash and those vehicles are blocking the roadway at any point, and they're not moved out of the roadway quickly, the potential for secondary crashes goes up significantly. And what we see is that drivers then react to traffic slowing down, traffic suddenly stopping, and then we have 2 and 3 crashes that occur from that first crash.
Putting those who try to help at a greater risk of getting hurt, along with everyone else.
I would implore everyone to please put down the cell phones. Please stop playing with the radios, stop eating, stop doing everything but what you're supposed to be doing and driving. Everyone is out here for a purpose. We're trying to get to work, we're trying to get to a store, we're trying to get to an appointment, we're trying to get home to our families. Because at the end of the day, our family needs us. We all have spouses, children, parents that depend on us. So I implore you to please, when you see the lights, whether it be the yellow lights, the cones, the red and blues, please, please, please pay attention. Please move over and slow down. You might be saving a life that day.
Not moving over carries its fines too. Law enforcement can ticket you more than $130 in Orange County for not following that law. For 5 things that you need to know if you're ever in a crash and ways to get you to drive safer and smarter, you can find more at drivesmartflorida.org.